Welcome to Tech This Way.
Is that better?
Yes, very good.
Okay, excellent.
Okay,
Good.
good afternoon, Lavinie.
Good afternoon,
Let's
Amran.
begin.
Yes, sure.
Thanks for coming in.
No worries. Happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here. So co-founder of Babydash.
Yes.
And as I looked at your profile, you actually started something else before as well.
Yes.
Some dance
I had a studio.
studio.
For a good 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to go into both.
Oh, all
If
right.
you don't mind, but
Sure.
also a little bit more about yourself.
Okay.
So how did it all start for you?
How did it all start? Goodness, this sounds like
in this entrepreneurial career of yours?
Firstly, I never knew I was cut out to be an entrepreneur. Never dawned upon me at all. I trained as a lawyer.
Okay.
And then so at that time in uni it was a combination of let's do law and then let's combine it with finance. Let's go into investment banking, the typical sort of thing. Very excited about all that. So came back to Malaysia and joined the corporate banking world. Did that for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Which bank?
ABN AMRO
Okay.
at that time. Enjoyed it and then realized that it was not quite what I was looking for. You're exploring yourself when you're that young. And then, so I left. And then in that space that I had, I was always a dancer while I was studying law.
Okay.
And so at university, I used to get involved in competitions, ballroom dancing competitions.
I was going to ask what kind of dancing.
Yeah, so mainly Latin American ballroom dancing sort of thing. So we were crazy. We would practice every day and then go
This
for
here in Malaysia?
No, in the UK.
In the UK,
In the
okay.
UK. So
Did you pick it up when you were there?
picked it up when I was there. But I already had dancing back, not this genre, a different, but I already had background. So it was easy to sort of like get into a new genre and train and build up from there. So, used to go for competitions all the time, represented the university.
Oh, wow. So you're
at
fairly serious in it. Yeah.
Oh, big time serious.
Okay.
So, went to the nationals and all that kind of thing. So it was a big deal. And for me, I think when you really enjoy and you're absolutely passionate about what you're doing, that sort of like fuels everything in your life. Everything's very positive in that sense. So I always tell my dad, the only reason I did well in law school is because I was dancing. Not because I was studying. Because you're like happy vibes, right? You're really happy and that kind of thing. So I did that and then came back to Malaysia, joined the corporate bank, and then after 2 years decided to figure out something. Right. And in that time I met up with my former dance partner. He was also Malaysian. And he was 1 year junior to me, so he came back to Malaysia a year after me. Okay. And so he was also finding himself. He's like, yalla, got to do something.
Right.
And we and we thought, what, we had such a great experience in the UK. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to bring that, what we experienced, create it in Malaysia, start the scene. I mean, there was already a ballroom dancing scene here, but
what year was that?
We started it in 2002.
Okay. Oh, fairly
long time ago. Yeah. It's now 2020.
How was the ballroom dancing scene?
The thing is, the scene has always been around, but it's very it's only a particular segment of society that knows about it, and
not my segment of society.
Not your segment. I mean, what's interesting is there's a lot of talent in Malaysia. So even when we were dancing in the UK, a lot of us Malaysians who took part in the competitions, I mean, there were quite a few of us. You could see without the background, those of us who came from different, like my background was ballet, and so I was able to pick up. And some of my other university mates as well, those of us who came up the ranks, there's a lot of talent, but it's just that over here,
there was no avenue to.
There was no real strong avenue. There are avenues, but not strong avenues. Right. So
I thought everybody ends up as an RTM dancer or something in the end.
No lah. There's a lot more to it. So we thought, let's create this scene, where let's bring in our top coaches from the UK, let's bring in the top dancers in the world, let's create a festival. We had all these big dreams, right? So initially our idea was let's start with a festival, start with a bang, create that sort of hype, and then from there people will want to do classes and enroll their kids and then come up that way. That didn't quite work out because because we realized we needed to really get a lot of sponsors to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, let's do it the other way around. Let's create a studio. Let's start teaching people, create that movement. And then from there, we work towards building towards creating a festival like with the World Championships coming into Malaysia and whatnot.
So there weren't that many competitions and those kind of things at the time?
There was, but small scale. And again, not many people know about it. It's again only a small segment of the people who are following it, you know. So so that's what we did. We created the studio in 2002, and in 2007, so 5 years later, we created the festival.
Right. Where was
this was
studio?
the studio was in Sri Hartamas, and then we created another branch in Ampang, and then we had the festival in Berjaya Times Square. So it was called the KL International Dance Festival. We had, I don't know how many countries. I think we had 17 countries come in, if I'm not mistaken. So long ago now, I can't remember. But essentially, we brought in some of the top class dancers into Malaysia. And
so when you say you set up a studio, this is a teaching studio.
Correct.
To dance.
Exactly. And we also were involved in events. So people, corporates could hire dancers and professional dancers to be that kind of thing. But beyond that, it was about creating creating that gene pool, that talent, to come up the ranks, people who were serious about it. So ballroom dancing, actually, the proper formal name is dance sport. And dance sport is a medal sport in the SEA Games, Commonwealth Games, and they were lobbying for it to be in the Olympics as well. So we actually took the first Malaysian team to the SEA Games in 2007 as well, actually. Came back with a bronze medal. So
was there a lot of, government support? To
Not really. The Thais and the Filipinos have a lot of government support. So as in they pay for their training, their coaching and all that, which is why they were the ones who bagged the golds and the silvers. So actually Malaysia can easily do that as well if you have that kind of support like they get, But I think what we achieved in itself, we're really proud of, because, from nowhere to bring it up and then to go to the games, to get a medal and come back. I mean, right now, I think the scene we tried to bring it up as much as we could. There's a lot more that can be done. And I'm not in the scene anymore, so I can't speak about what's happened over the last 10 years. But what I can say is there's a lot of talent in Malaysia, and I really hope, and it's such a passionate thing. I mean, it's such a fun thing to do. Yet at the same time, it's something you need to have a lot of skills to be able to come up to that level. So I don't know. Hopefully, more and more people get on the bandwagon and feel the passion.
Is it something that I don't know? I guess in the UK and the US that you could. I assume you can be professional.
Yeah.
Right? And
It's big there.
Right?
It's huge
as
there.
opposed to here, typically, right? If you can't make a living out of it, then it's very hard to get your parents' support.
Correct. So you do have professionals here, and what they end up doing is they end up becoming coaches. They might set up a studio like what we did. But in order to go and do even bigger things, you have to go to the World Championships. You have to have some ranking in the world, right? And then you travel around, give master classes, all those kind of things. It's a lot more to it. And so whilst Malaysia has the talent, you need enough support in the genre to be able to.
I mean, you mentioned ballet. You started that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like my kids go to ballet. There seems to be a lot of ballet classes and things around, right?
That's
but I don't know whether it's transitioned to something
else.
Broader, right?
Which is great. The ballet is a fantastic starting point. And if you do that for 15 years or whatever, then you can do almost any kind of dance afterwards.
It's just that there isn't much after in terms of
depends where you are. And it's good. If you go into the performing arts, dance is always a great.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, so that kind of, so what happened to the dance studio?
So what happened was we did that for about 11 years, and then
that's a
long time, and then we, it's difficult to grow it because there's not enough talent in Malaysia in terms of teaching because if you want to scale it up and have more studios, you need to have that many good teachers. And we kind of ran out of the good teachers. You're going to bring in people from abroad and all that. And that's a bit expensive and hard to do. So I think we took it to as far as we could. And so then became itchy lah. Wanted to do something which was scalable, something different. So I actually started Babydash with another friend of mine. And at that time, basically we were looking for a business that was scalable, and that we could achieve different things. So we explored various different ideas before landing on Babydash. So when we started Babydash, it was actually even before Lazada and Tesco started. So just about 6 months before they did, actually. 2011. They started in 2012.
Also immediately after your dance studio?
No, actually I was running both at the same time.
Oh, I see.
So we started the groundwork for Babydash in 2010.
Okay.
So I was running both at the same time, looking at websites, talking to web developers, everything, while I was running the studio as well. And then after a while I realized cannot lah. I have to let one go.
Right.
I can't do both. So I decided to focus on Babydash and build it. And my partner at the dance studio at that time as well, he is also involved in the performing arts. He still is today. He's one of those famous singers and musicals in musicals and all that. So I said, take it over, do your theatre, use it for auditions for your KL pack and whatnot. So the studio is still there, but it's more for theatre now and musicals, So yeah, that allowed me to carry on and build Babydash. That's where we are.
So a little bit about the start for Babydash then. So you guys were looking at a lot of different ideas. So how did you land on Babydash? Was it a need or was it purely from a commercial standpoint?
I think it started with a need because, we've got all our friends, half are in Malaysia, half are abroad, but always come back to Malaysia, and we always have meetups and catch-ups, that sort of thing. And our friends from abroad were like, you know what, guys, why is it you guys are rushing to the grocery store to buy your diapers and your milk? Why can't you just buy it online? So at that time, nobody was selling diapers and milk online. So there was a clear gap. There was a clear gap in them. I mean, you did have online stores. At that time, you had Lelong, of course.
Okay.
And maybe you had some websites.
Right.
Actually, yeah, you did. Even when I started doing the research for the baby websites, there were quite a lot actually. But they all focus on the high margin items, things like car seats, strollers, the one-off purchases, toys. Nobody was selling milk. Nobody was selling diapers.
The fast-moving items.
Yeah, and the reason behind that is you can't make money from those items. It's all single-digit margin.
Really?
Yeah, because it's fast-moving, right?
Yeah, but it just feels expensive.
Of course it does.
Okay, so margins are fairly low.
Margins are rubbish. So and so people don't choose to have that online because if somebody comes to your website and they buy purely diapers or purely milk, you end up losing money. But what we thought was let's create. I mean, if nobody's doing it, that's an opportunity, and let's see how we can make it work. So if we create a site that carries everything from A to Z, then sure, you lose money on the diapers and milk, but then you make money on the other items. So net, you still average on a decent margin. So we started doing research around that, and then we realized there was a very successful company in the US called diapers.com.
Okay.
And they started in 2005. And so by the time we were doing the research on them, they were being bought out by Amazon. So Amazon bought them out for 500 million. Very nice.
Yeah. That's something to put a goal for.
Yeah. So we thought, hey, if these guys can do it, and we read their story, they were losing money on every single sale. And people didn't take them seriously in the beginning. They're like, what diapers, milk, online. So when I mean the big companies, and that's exactly the experience we had in Malaysia. So when we went to approach people like, Procter and Gamble and Johnson's & Johnson's, Kimberly-Clark, they're like, well, why would we come online? Because we're already selling so well in the Tesco's and the Giants.
So you went to them as a channel, as a distributor for
I went to them because I said, I'm going to create a platform and I want to stock your goods. So you come on board my platform. Right. So a lot of the big brands didn't have the confidence. It was the smaller brands that came on board. And funnily enough, 2 years later, the big brands were knocking on our door saying, hey guys, we want to list on your website.
So who was we at that point?
It was my partner and myself, but she was actually a silent partner. So because she was still working in the corporate world in the bank at that, and so she said, yeah, I'd like to come in, but I can't leave my job obviously because it's a startup. And so for me, I was okay. I was willing to take the plunge, start something new, no income for X amount of years. In the end, it was 5 years. But I mean those are the sacrifices you make as an entrepreneur. It's hard, and you need to make sure you have enough support around you to go through the ride. It's not. I think a lot of young people today, especially those in their 20s, you think, "Wow, entrepreneurship is sexy, is the new thing, is glamorous."
Cool.
It's a lot. It's much harder than being in the corporate world because I had the benefit of being in both. So I can share with you. This one is non-stop. I used to work till 3 in the morning every day, kind of thing, and for no pay.
Yeah.
You know, so how many people are going to do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's whether or not you really believe in what you're doing and whether you think this can be a success in the future. So you really have to have that much of perseverance.
Yeah.
How's that?
And patience, that's right.
And patience, yeah.
So you set this up with your partner.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, what was it? It was just a simple website.
It was just a simple website.
Mm.
I was doing everything from being the one who I was the buyer, so talking to all the brands,
Right.
and then so stocking them in my house.
Okay. So you had inventory.
Yeah, had to
Mm.
because that was the idea. We were not a marketplace like Lazada. Lazada's a marketplace, and so is Shopee, whereby sellers can sell on their platform.
That's right.
Whereas we don't have that. We sell everything. We don't have merchants on our website. We are the ones who own the products.
Okay.
So that's why we had to get brands to come in. We had to buy from them. So we needed to have like a little warehouse. But in the beginning, it doesn't make sense, right, to do that. So
Right.
put everything lah in your house.
Yeah. How did you decide what to stock up first?
Went to the popular brands that people need.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was and it's a lot of research. I mean, popular brands is easy, but after that is like what else and to grow the range. Actually, baby and mummy products, there are tons. So for us, we QC everything. We want to make sure that we're selling good quality products, products that mums want, and not some chaplak sort of thing.
Be cheap, but nobody buys them. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So good quality stuff that parents need. And today parents are very discerning. I can tell you that in the beginning we had some very famous brands which I shouldn't name, and but it took a long time to sell because people didn't want them. They wanted the organic range. They didn't want the skincare that had chemicals in
I
it.
see.
So Malaysian parents have become very particular. Especially those middle class onwards, they can spend, right? And they want to make sure they give the best quality products for their children. So,
how did you? 2 questions then. How did you first go reach out to your customers? And how was the ramp up for the number of customers? So marketing wise,
yeah. Obviously we had to go to the usual channel like Facebook. Actually, we did more Facebook in the beginning. Eventually, we did Google as well. But in the beginning, for Google, it was mainly. Once you have a website and you've listed things, it's interesting how when people search things, you might just pop up.
Right.
Which we did. So it was mainly organic reach in the beginning.
Okay.
We spent a little bit on Facebook, not much. And then from there, we started. We were. Traction grew, and from there we decided.
So that's encouraging, right?
Yes, but like I said, it's because there were not many people selling what we were selling online. People were selling the car seats and the strollers, not the diapers and the milk. So we were the first to do that, actually. So maybe that helped, and then after that only we started. My partner left her job eventually 4 years later.
Right.
So for the first 4 years, it was just me, and then I hired my first staff after 1 year. So it was just 2 of us in the office. And then, so actually, it was a slow growth, but that was because we were learning everything. I got no IT background, I know nothing about platforms and web developers. So even all the all the uploading I did. So I had set my web developer and I learned how to do it.
That's cool.
How to crop. Cropping pictures is one thing, but how to upload things, pricing and description, everything, So
what did you build? Some kind of a system to manage your inventory, or just using Excel?
No. So it's all in we use an open source platform. We use Magento actually.
Okay.
And so, but at that time we had no idea what that meant. And then we looked at WordPress lah, Joomla. Those were the days before platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce came on board.
Made life a lot easier then.
So we had to. So actually, looking back now, it was a wise choice for us to go with Magento because it's such a scalable platform. And then eventually, Shopify came into the picture, and then we looked at it and I decided no, it doesn't make sense for us to use that kind of a platform because it's actually regressing, because that platform does not have a lot of scalable functions like Magento. So if you've got big dreams to really grow and customize, then you don't want to go to a standard sort of, you need the customization basically. So in the end, Magento worked out really well for us, and we're still on it now.
And from a scaling standpoint, so how was? You said it was a slow start, after 3-4 years.
Yeah, because it was all we never did any fundraising or anything like that. It was all our own funds, and that's what I mean by not paying ourselves. I paid my staff, but everything we earned, we put back into the business. We rolled and rolled. So had we had funding from the beginning, so I didn't even think about those kind of things, right? But had we thought about that and done that, then I think we would have grown faster, of course. But then again, people who take funding early and don't know how to spend it well may end up losing a lot of money. So
I was going to say that, just having money sometimes is a bad thing.
correct.
Right.
So I think it worked in our favor in that sense, because we really had to knuckle down and figure things out from A to Z.
Yeah.
Make you as wise as possible.
That's right.
Kind of thing.
At least a good discipline, right?
It's a very good
It's
discipline.
not, blowing other people's money.
Correct, So, but that's the thing, you see. So in the end, when we did do our fundraising, for me, it feels like, we should be spending that money like it's your own money, and not just because it's somebody else's money. And it's, let's blow it and see how, so, which I can see a lot of people do as in meaning they fundraise and then it's just burnt just like that, So there are huge benefits to slogging the hard way.
So talk to me a little bit about the fundraising then. So how did you get to the point when, okay, we need a bit of a boost?
Yeah, so when we started to grow the team. So I mentioned my partner left the bank in 2014. That's when she joined me. And then we said, okay, let's grow the team. Let's have a marketing team. Let's have a finance, let's start building this. So along with, and we needed money to do that. We couldn't just, So that's when we did our equity crowdfunding. Actually, we got an angel investor to come in 2016.
Okay.
And then we wanted to test. That's when we started spending on marketing as well. And then we made some big mistakes. That's what you are absolutely right. When you raise money or when you have some money, you want to spend it to get traction. But that's where you also make a lot of mistakes. And we made tons of mistakes at that point.
Share a few of those.
No, well, I mean, we put money in Google, we put money in Facebook, but that doesn't mean it's going to translate into, doesn't mean
purchases,
you put $1 is going to become $3, right?
Yeah.
So, well, if you did that and if you think, okay, if I make it $100, maybe that'll become 300. No, it doesn't work that way, So those were the big mistakes we made, because we burnt a lot of money trying to build that traction. We put it into the ad space, So yeah, we did that, and then at the same time we also built the team, so there was a lot of cost there. So in 2017 we decided let's do. I mean, we were talking to all kinds of people. We spoke to angels, we spoke to VCs. We also joined the Coach and Grow program. It's Cradles. Yeah, it's an excellent program, and it was
Dr.
such
Siva and the gang.
Yes, and so that was a wonderful eye opener, and that taught us a lot of things, and that helped us with our pitching process as well. So when we were ready to do our equity crowdfunding, which is the channel we decided to in the end, we decided not to go down the route of VCs and whatnot. Before that, we were talking to VCs. But then when we looked at the balance of things, we realized that maybe that might be a route for later on, because there are a lot of hidden things, everybody thinks fundraising, really good, but there's more to it, you got to look at the terms. How much more of your company are you giving out? And at what terms are you going to get screwed or not in the future? That kind of thing, And we heard enough horror stories of people having to buy back their shares from VCs and whatnot. So balancing everything out, I think we made the right decision to go down the route of equity crowdfunding. So we did that, and it's great because the people who come on board, many of our customers became our shareholders actually through this platform, and that's not possible through any other platform. So this was good, and then they sort of become your brand ambassadors, because when they're talking to friends, they're like, go buy from Babydash, because they got vested interest, right? So
how was the experience of preparing the company, the paperwork and all that to go into ECF?
Oh, that's not bad at all, because we worked together with Pitchin, with Cash, and I'm sure you know them all. Yeah. So that was they were very helpful. They knew what they were doing, and so I think that they took away that burden. They just told us what they needed, and then they did, whatever. They did their due diligence.
Were there structurally anything that you needed to change in the Babydash itself?
No.
Before you went on?
No, because it was just the two of us. So by them coming on board, they become it's a nominee structure, right? So all the shareholders through the equity platform come in under a nominee structure. So they are actually listed on my company docs, and all the shareholders are under the nominee structure. So that's how it works. Yeah.
So you pitched,
raised money, and here we are today.
And this was
2017. April, May 2017. Yeah.
The fact that your partner left her job to join you, obviously at that point, Babydash had a future. Right?
Yes,
Aha,
we
this
had
is
already
the
crossed the
figure.
million ringgit sort
Mm.
of like revenue, and that,
Mm.
so she felt comfortable.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do with the money? It's
Um,
been what, 3 years now, or 2.5 years?
2.5 years,
Mm.
yeah. So we spent more on marketing. We built the team a little bit more, and grew the product range.
Mm.
So at the time we did the ECF, I think we were about 3,500 products. Today we are
Sorry, how many?
3,500.
Okay.
Today we are about 7,000, and I intend to grow that to 10,000 in the next 12 months.
10,000 unique
Yeah,
products.
SKUs, so stock keeping units.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much stuff that you can buy for kids these days.
Yeah.
So, but is the focus still just babies? What kind of age group are we talking
0
about?
to 5, so
Okay.
babies and mums.
Okay.
So even like your postnatal and even your prenatal stuff. So when the mom becomes pregnant, we've got all her like stretch mark creams, that kind
Okay.
of stuff.
Mm.
And then when they're preparing for the baby to come, so things like preparing to get a cot, mattresses, car seats, strollers, everything. So
Okay.
it's a lot. Actually, 10,000 is not enough, but but that's the
Okay.
near term goal. How's that?
Wow. Okay.
So I think the goal for us is to become a household name in Malaysia. So we have, and the thing is, we don't have those kind of deep pockets. I don't have Alibaba backing me. So
yeah.
in terms of marketing, I'm limited to what I can do. But we do as much as we can. We have partnerships with confinement centers and a lot of the mummy groups. That sort of, we do a lot to reach out. And I think today we've built a fairly good name. But of course, there's always more to be done. And within Malaysia itself, I mean, we are the largest mum and baby store today.
Okay. You are.
We are, and I mean, as a standalone store. The idea, but then the thing is, there's still so much more to grow within the mum and baby space. We serve the whole of Malaysia, so not just Peninsula, but we serve East Malaysia as well from our hub here in PJ.
Okay.
And then last year, to 2019, we launched into Singapore as well. So now we've got Babydash Singapore.
Okay.
But we do that out of Malaysia. So with the warehouse is here, and then we ship from here to Singapore. There's no need to actually have a warehouse in Singapore at the moment.
So expensive anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So
Actually, I wanted to find out about that. So you initially had your warehouse in your house.
Oh yeah.
And then so when did you okay, I think I need some space for the bed.
Yeah.
So when did you move out?
So a year later, so December 2011, or was it 2012? I think it was December 2012 actually, when we found a space in Taman Tun.
Still fairly soon after that you realized you had a lot of
about
stock.
a year and a bit, a year and a half after we started. That's when I hired my first staff, and that's when we moved into a shop lot on the first floor, stocked all the stuff there. And then after 1 year, realized, alamak, no space. Have to find another spot. So we moved again. And where we are right now, the good thing is there are lots near us. So we took the space. So although we had one space, eventually we took the space next to us as well. Right. So that's how we're expanding. And now I'm trying to look for the third one. I'm trying to bodek the other landlords to say, give it to me when
because you don't need a shop front, right? So all you need is just
I need space for products.
Okay. And your business model is still the same. You guys, actually
markup model.
Okay. Yeah. An actual store. Going back to the early days, when you set this up, you were saying that there were no online anyway before to speak of, right? So
no, there was. There were plenty of baby sites, but then they were all selling maybe toys or maybe car seats and strollers. So but not everything in one, not like a one-stop shop,
So how is the scene today?
Okay, today, because now you have Lazada. So Lazada has a lot of the stuff that we have, but not everything. Yeah. So there's
really? I thought you could get everything.
Well, you can get a lot, but certain things, no, because certain brands do not want to be on Lazada.
Yes.
Because they
association with all Chinese suppliers, right? Pretty much.
And also they want to protect themselves, right? Because there were a lot of cases of fake items and whatever. Yeah. But the good thing is how Lazada has countered that is they've got Lazmall now. So and Lazada for the longest time has been asking us to come on board. They wanted our entire catalog, and we kind of like were refraining from doing that. But this year we've just gone on board, but only under their last mall umbrella, because there's that guarantee of safety. And, because everything we do is original. We only deal with original distributors, that kind of stuff, right? So with that assurance, we said to them, okay, we'll try. Let's try and see how it goes. So it's very new. It's literally just happening now in the last 1 month, actually.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So how's the traction?
Quite good, actually.
Okay.
Quite good. So still ironing out a lot of teething issues, because basically their back end syncs to our back end. So it's not, most people on Lazada, they actually manually upload, but how our developers done it in such a way whereby their Lazada's back end will talk to my back end, so I don't actually have to. So it's all through API, right?
Yeah. And you're on a platform that they should recognize also, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. And what about the team? So you started off the two of you, and then you had your first.
There are 14 of us right now.
Okay.
So we're quite lean. I mean, I think a company of our size should actually have a few more people, but we managed to keep our costs contained as much as we can. Yeah.
Okay. And you were serving Malaysia only, you said before, now Singapore.
Singapore. But we haven't put much money behind Singapore, because, I mean, we've got the platform, we are getting sales from there. But then there's a lot to do. So we want to make sure that when we start doing the marketing into Singapore, we choose the right partners, the right media partners and whatnot, because it's that much more expensive for Singapore. So we don't want to make the same mistakes that we made in Malaysia, where we burn so much money and then you don't get much in return, right? So that will be something we're careful about. Yeah.
Okay. And any plans to go physical?
No, but definitely plans in the pipeline to go regional. So besides Singapore, I am talking to a few countries already right now.
Okay.
So, but that will be through, the network that we have, and we're looking at potential JVs. So it's still early days, so I can't really tell you which countries yet.
Sure.
But I am looking at a few countries in the region, so that we'd have build a nice Babydash, nice Asian story.
Yeah, retain that branding. Right?
Correct,
and
exactly. And so I think going brick and mortar is another challenge altogether, and not something we're quite ready for. I mean, sure, your sales might balloon and do really well, but then that also comes with its relevant difficulties, So I think, given our strength as to where we are right now, I think we should stick to that and grow regionally based on our key strength, and not try and do too much and then dilute ourselves and then lose the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a challenge.
Yeah.
How was and I always find one of the key things with online businesses is the logistics and the fulfillment side. I think the sexy part of this whole thing is having the website and putting your products in. Is the fulfillment has always been a challenge, right? So how was that experience for Babydash?
Well, I did it in the beginning. It's not a challenge if you find the right courier companies and people that you can work with, and you build a good team that can, every day, or all the orders that come in, they pack on the spot, they send it out the same day. So it must be quick. We're very much into strong customer service and fast delivery, because that's what parents want. They want things quickly. Yeah. So my team is on the ball. They're packing all the time. As far as the logistics is concerned, we're blessed in Malaysia because we have various courier companies that we can work with. So I actually have 6 courier companies that work for Babydash. Of course, in the beginning it was just one, but now we found that certain courier companies are stronger in certain areas. We have one in particular just for Singapore. We also have one which is specific for same day delivery. So if somebody orders at 10 in the morning, they can get it by afternoon or evening. So quite a few permutations there that we offer to our customers. So what I mean is, we are blessed in Malaysia because we've got that many courier companies. Everybody wants to get into the logistics business because then you're serving the whole of the e-commerce industry. So that's great. I think in the other Asian countries, that's going to be a challenge. So when we look at Babydash in another country, we would have to pick the ones that have good courier support, good third party.
The reach and the reliability.
Because like I know some of our counterparts in Indonesia before, they didn't have that kind of support, so they had to become the logistics company themselves.
Right.
And that's hard. That's so capital intensive. until today they're bleeding, you know. So
it's a different business.
It's a different
altogether.
business. Either you are in e-commerce or you're in logistics.
That's right.
But in those kind of countries, you have to be both,
Mm.
and that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we don't want to go down that route.
Yeah.
We'll choose the countries that have the support so we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
make it work. Yeah.
In Malaysia itself, where is your business focused in?
The whole of Malaysia.
Yeah. Do you see is it typically the big cities where you're getting most of your customers? Or
Yeah,
is it
yeah,
spread out?
definitely Klang Valley, Johor, Penang. But it's very interesting to see people from places I've never been to in Peninsula. But I'm like, where is that place? You know,
Yeah.
and even Felda Settlement, we've even had orders from there. But I guess over there is because they can't get, or it's difficult to get some good items or some of
Right.
the foreign brands that we bring in.
Mm.
So again, product variety has really helped us, because then, you know, people come to our site and they're like, wow, you got so many things, you know.
Mm.
I mean, we know we have a lot of things, but we don't see it that way. We're always like, oh, there's more. We need to get more. We need to
Right.
become really, really a wholesome one-stop shop, you know.
Yeah.
Like I know a similar business to mine in Turkey. They have 25,000 SKUs on their website.
Right.
That's why I said the
Right.
7,000 is like nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot more to do, a lot more to grow, a lot more to do, and it's great. It's exciting because you're creating value for your Malaysian market and for the greater region as well, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, and then within that also, you're always trying to make things seamless, make things faster. So for example, how can we always look at Amazon, you're like, wow, you know, it's just one click and you just check out. So why is it people have to fill in name, address,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
is there a way where you can do that just once and then afterwards it's just a one-click checkout? So
Yeah.
all those things, you know. So we move along as technology moves along. We partner with people, like even payment gateways, we've moved a couple of times because, you know, the new ones come on board with better technology, and which makes it a seamless experience. So then we'll give it a go. So whatever comes up, we're all ears, we're all open to try something new so
Yeah.
that we can make the customer experience that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
From a product standpoint, right? So you've
Okay.
got your 7,000 SKUs now, hopefully grow more.
Yeah.
Would you go into other things beyond baby and mom?
Yeah, potentially. So because we've already got this captive audience, so on our website we do have things for beyond 5 years old as well, but it's not a key. That we do have, for example, we have kiddie shower gel, so for even 10-year-olds, and some of the milk we have is also from 0 to 10, that kind of thing, right? But we don't have a large range for the growing up children. So that's a potential that we're looking at. Yeah, quite a few things there. We could even look at, so for example, a lot of people have said to us, hey, you guys have diapers, but it's all for babies. Why didn't you consider for adults as well? But then again, we are, because, you know, the older generation and, you know, all our friends who are working and whatnot, who have to buy for their grandparents or whatever, it's like a hassle, you know.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities. Again, we have to prioritize how are we growing and what are we doing, and so those are things at the back of our minds, and we will assess as we go along, because right now we're looking at the regional plan as well,
Right.
so that takes priority at the moment.
Because I was thinking in terms of the customers that you have, right? From a repeatability standpoint.
Yeah.
So if I take myself,
Yeah.
if there was a Babydash service when I had my first child,
Yeah.
I will use that for
Few years.
I better get this right. 4 years before the next one.
Yeah.
So I'll continue, right?
Yeah.
And then 2 years after that, I'll have the other one.
Yeah.
So you will have me as a captive audience for at least 6 years, 7 years.
If you have more than one child.
Yes, if
Correct.
you have more than one, right?
Yeah.
So 3, I guess now these days typically 2,
2,
right?
3,
So that will give you a lifespan of about 5 years per couple.
Yeah.
And then
Roughly.
they're off, right?
Yeah.
And
Correct. So
you would hope there'll be a replacement. Of course, there are always new parents that comes in.
Correct.
But since you've already got this 5-year relationship,
Yes.
right, with this couple,
Yes.
that was where I was coming from in terms of the.
Correct.
So what else can you do for
Correct.
them?
Yeah. So that that is definitely in our pipeline. So for example, it could be like the pharmacy online kind of thing. So you can have your toothpaste, your whatever for your household goods, your dry goods. So that's a potential. So again, there's so many things that we can do and grow this. So yes, it's in the pipeline. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess the other question is really from a general market standpoint. We've been hit by a whole bunch of different challenges right now. The COVID virus and the oil prices just plunged.
I know, goodness.
The political scene, right? And all those things. However, I wonder, does that impact your business at all?
It impacts every industry, I believe, especially COVID-19, because the whole supply chain, everybody relies on China in some way or another. Even things like sanitizers, even if your sanitizer is locally made, where do the bottles come from? Right? So one of our suppliers said to us, you know what? We can't get the bottles out in time, but we can do the refillable packs for you guys.
Right.
Because the bottles, unfortunately, we have to wait for the factory in China to open. There you go.
So is your challenge more from the supply side as opposed to from the demand?
Exactly. The demand is there. The supply is stuck. And we had so many shipments delayed. In fact, even now is March, right?
Yeah.
I just spoke to one supplier today and they said, cannot lah. Only May or June. We're like, what?
Yeah.
And the reason behind that is because of the backlog. So they're starting to manufacture now. And it will only be able to be shipped out then.
Yeah.
So it's really disruptive. I think this year is going to be quite a very, very challenging year for all industries globally. The fact that Singapore has already said it's going to be, it's in a basically negative growth lah.
Yeah.
Recession lah, right?
Yeah.
So it can't be helped. It's a global phenomenon, isn't it?
It is. So what are you going to do about it from a Babydash standpoint? What can you do?
In a way, the good thing about this virus is people don't dare go out, so they want to buy online. Right?
That's true. Yeah, it's always a silver lining.
Well, I think that I always look at it this way. The thing is, we are a growing business, so there's still opportunity. We are still growing despite all these things happening. Last month was a growth. I foresee this month being a growth as well. So I think through problems, there's always opportunity. So and given that we are on that growth phase, we just have to continue thinking what else can we do? What other marketing campaigns can we do to reach out to more people, to get the name even more out there in as clever a fashion as possible, given the fact that we don't have the deep pockets of the big boys. So what are the clever partnerships we can do to build up our name?
Yeah.
So we keep doing that, and as long as we keep growing, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like I mentioned, we're exploring the regional markets. I forgot to mention, the other thing that we started doing last year was we started doing export already.
Okay.
So we now export into the Maldives, and going forward, I'm looking at those building that revenue channel as well, where supermarkets can buy directly from Babydash.
Okay.
But not more like a B2B as opposed to a B2C, which is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So looking at that and to see what are the other countries we can penetrate. Also looking at building our own brand of items.
Okay.
So
a Babydash.
Yeah, sort of thing. Yeah, that kind of thing. So that's also being in the pipeline right now. So a lot of things on our plate.
Yeah. Are you doing B2B today in Malaysia?
No. Only overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why the jump from?
Because that opportunity came up.
Okay.
An opportunity came up, and we're like, okay, let's try that.
In the Maldives, that's an interesting story.
I know. So now, again, using the network that we have, I'm trying to see how we can penetrate other countries as well.
Okay.
And this one going beyond the Asian region, So that will be great. At least we have a few different revenue streams to feed into the Babydash.
That'll be interesting to see. As a shop in Maldives, to buy from you as opposed to supplying it from China directly. Is it because you guys curate and have that better quality?
Well, now that I'm looking at of course we've got very good quality stuff, but now that we're also looking at our own brand of stuff, then again QC is within our control, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll be trying to see whether we can build that or not, that connection for the export market. Yeah.
Okay.
So
going into your own brand, now that's going to be an interesting set of challenges.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you gonna bring somebody else in who's done this kind of similar business before?
No, don't need to do that. I think we've got enough experience because knowing all the various brands we already have, we know what people are looking for. I just need to find the right manufacturers to do a good job. That's it. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that because you've been doing this for quite a few years now and you know your customers, then you are able to kind of zoom into the type of things that
they're
need. Looking for. Yeah, that they need.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you were to talk to a whole bunch of new guys going into business, not necessarily technology driven, but just in startups, right? What would be the few things that you would advise them to do or not do?
I think the first thing is they gotta look within themselves to sort of understand whether or not they are ready for this ride. Whether they are ready to be an entrepreneur is very different, and they basically have to be very, very passionate about what they're doing. Because if you don't have that, how are you going to work 18 hours a day? And it's different, to corporates where you go in, you come out, okay, you can go.
You get a salary.
You get a salary. This one is no money, well, potentially, unless you raise money in the beginning. But basically, it's really, as cliche as it sounds, it really is blood, sweat and tears, and you put in the hours. You will have, days where you're like, oh goodness, is this really going to work? But you got to plod along if you really believe it. That's why I'm saying they've got to have the mindset, whether or not they're ready. You've got to be a strong mindset to make sure they can last the ride, because it's not a 1 year story. We are 9 years in business right now, and I can tell you that it's always different challenges, and it's always something new, and there's a lot of firefighting along the way. It's a rough ride. It's a great ride, but it's also a rough ride, and you got to be ready for it. So I think young people should not read the magazines and all that and get taken up by that, but understand that there's a lot more behind it, which people are not saying. You only read the glamorous stuff. You gotta look behind it and decide for yourself. If you're gonna give it a try, why, by all means give it a try, but realize it's a difficult ride that you must be ready for.
I've not had the conversation with the entrepreneur who says it was a breeze, right? It's always been painful, but you're right, the headlines are always the successful ones. But so somehow the pain is hidden.
So it's great to hear the success, but people should write more real stories about what's going on behind the scene.
So if you met yourself 11 years ago, would you tell her to
go for it?
Is not the path?
No, go for it, because I really love what I do, and I think if I met myself 11 years ago, then I'll say, oh, don't do this. I'll already, with the benefit of hindsight, I'll say, these are all the mistakes you made. Don't do this. Then you've got the benefit of what you can do right, isn't it?
But I guess with all the don'ts is the stuff that you learn.
That's true. That builds you.
It builds you.
It builds you. Builds your resilience. It's hard. There are a lot of difficult things along the way, and difficult conversations you need to have, and along the way. The other thing I would say is it's very important to have mentors and advisors. So I'm blessed with that. I've got enough people around me, uncles and all that who are so experienced.
Did you actively seek out mentors, or you just gonna
through the Coach and Grow program, you are assigned mentors, and so they're great. But then within my family as well, and the network that I have, I always like, come, let's have a coffee, let's have a lunch. I need your input, your experience, and I tell them the story and say, what would you do? I think having a mentor or a few mentors actually is very beneficial. It's crucial. Entrepreneurship can be a lonely journey, so and it's good if you are able to bounce these ideas off very experienced people who will guide you and tell you as it is.
Who don't have any personal interest, but just,
even if they did, even better, because then they're vested in your company. That's it.
Yes, in that respect, yes.
Yeah. So either way, the point is it has to be people that you trust that will give you good advice. So trust is a key element there, because you're sharing with them what you're doing, your plans and everything, right? So, and I think there are a lot of people out there who are willing to give back, who are willing to pay it forward to help, to help your future generation come up and so make use of that. I think that's important.
So it was 11 years from your first business. It's 9 years
9 years now
with Babydash.
9th year.
And sounds like you have quite a few more things to do with Babydash.
A lot more. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the future is still Babydash, I assume then.
Yeah, for sure.
Any more fundraising happening to
I
spur
would
you to
rather not if I can. I think normally people do fundraising to sustain their existing business because you're losing a lot of money, or there's a particular big growth plan and you need the funds to grow and scale up. Typically, e-commerce companies, the sizable ones at least, are not profitable. So people like us, we have not been profitable for that many years, but my goal right now is to break that norm and move towards the profitable zone. So we're actually very close already. We're at like break-even point already, practically. Well, when I say that, I'd like to achieve that consistently. So we achieved that in December. We achieved it in January. I'd like to see a good 6 months of that before I can say, hey, okay, we're definitely.
Well, even Amazon was profitable some quarters and not, right? Only recently with AWS that they've really done it.
Yeah, exactly. They were, for so many years they were losing money. But I mean, Amazon is a giant in its own. Look at Lazada and Shopee and how much they're losing. It's ridiculous, you know. So I always wonder, what is their path to profitability? Because it's crazy. I mean,
is it about just raising valuations and
no, but that doesn't determine your that just gives you money to run for X amount of years. I mean, you run out of that, you got to raise again. So that's the fundraising game, right? Keep raising and raising just to sustain the business. But hey, what about making sure that your business is sustainable in itself and can fend for itself without having to raise money, right?
Are you running a business?
Yeah, let's go back to the fundamental. What's the point of running a business? Not to raise money. So for me, I don't want to raise any more money, because if I can make sure that we are at where we are right now and grow this even more, then I don't need money to grow. I mean, it would be more...
No external injection anyway,
Yeah, I mean, as in the business is sustainable. If at all, it would be, like I said, the regional plan that we have, maybe, the JVs, and they'll come in with a small percentage, that kind of thing. But I don't want to raise money to sustain my business. That's not the point of business,
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's...
Now, you mentioned right from the start, is it diapers.com?
Yeah.
Right? And they got sold off.
Yeah.
So is that something that still at the back of your mind? One of these days I'm gonna retire and kick back and just sell this business off?
Put it this way. When we started the business, the idea was about building a business. We didn't start the business to say, let's start this business and sell it. You know what I mean? So
you'd be surprised at how many people do that these days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people who are...
Or maybe you wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, but then that means you're not ready for not ready to build up and not ready to slog in the hours to build something amazing.
Or you're going into business for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's right. So you got to do something you're really passionate about, because really it's non-stop. To make it even work, to be able to sell it to somebody in the future, you got to build that much value. To build that much value means you got to put in so much of work and really slog it out, right? Yeah. So it's whether or not people are ready for that ride. So for us, I'd like to be able to build a good name in the region. If somebody comes along and they want to take a minority stake or whatever, I mean, we are open to these ideas, but that isn't the focus. The focus is, let's build our name and build a strong name. I want to do what people like Shell have done, what Petronas has done, what Maxis has done, that kind of thing. So why can't we build our name and build a good name and say, hey, we did this, we've created this value. So I think that's our driving motivation.
And with no caveats, right? That, this is a big business, right? And it is, as opposed to, they're still fundraising and they're not profitable.
Yeah.
Right?
See, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I think too many people try to play that game.
Yes.
And it's a dangerous game as well. In the end, you're left with how much life equity? 2%. I don't know.
Right.
I am just saying that. But in the end, you give out, and you're left with nothing much.
Yeah.
And then you got all these people to answer to.
I guess last question from me is, so Babydash in 5 years from now, 2025, where do you see, or where do you hope to see Babydash?
5 years is the world changes so quickly, so fast. So even if I had all these grand plans, I think 5 years, I think a more realistic thing would be, hey, what do you want to achieve in 2 years? Because the plans that we have right now, I think, are achievable in the next 1 to 2 years. Right. I think 5 years, because of how things rapidly change, is too far down the line
Right.
in that sense, you know.
So let's go 2 years.
Yeah. So again, for
2
me,
years.
it's about having a few more countries under our wing. So making sure Malaysia is making sure we are still number one and on top and reach more households
Right.
for Malaysia. Number
Right.
one, build Singapore, and in 2 years' time, definitely have at least 2 more countries under our wing. So in 4 countries.
Right. Right.
So that would be the
And
goal.
you'll be flying. You'll be living on an airplane at that point.
Not necessarily. I think if you've got good partners in the various countries, then you know we bring in the expertise and they run the groundwork. Yeah. And of course to also build the Babydash brand in terms of the products that we're creating. So to build more value back towards Babydash. So yeah. So that would be my near-term answer. I think 5 years.
Can't see that far.
Not to say can't see that far. Things change so fast.
Right.
So if you know, I
it's
think
hard to peg onto
it's hard to,
a certain version of that. I guess.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear how grounded you are.
Really?
On Babydash. Yes. Because as I said, right, I've met quite a few founders, and you can tell they've come from the pitching school, right?
Really?
You know, here's my 5-year, 10-year trajectory. It's always a hockey stick. It's always about the valuations that we can bring in. It's always about customer acquisitions. But they always forget the revenue minus cost equals profit equation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
You know, of course, you have all those other things in fundraising. You need to tell a good story.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, you do have to have your fundamental business.
Absolutely.
Right? And you go into business for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing that, so it's great.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Okay, Lavinie, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Amran.
Hopefully in a couple of months, you know, you can come in and we'll see how you're doing out there in
sure, happy to share our story.
Singapore and also
when we have more stories to tell you, we'll tell you.
Yeah. I'll be here waiting to listen to that.
Sure.
Thanks, Lavinie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.